In this video, we will be looking at how to complete the leaver checklist. This is an important step in the offboarding process of leaving employees. To begin a new checklist, please log into iTrent People Manager, and from the home screen, you can select Start New Checklist. Then select Leaver Offboarding Process Checklist. Here you can see a summary of the checklist. It is important that you read all of the information here. There is also a video explaining the reasons behind this checklist. Please ensure that you watch this. Once you are ready to begin, please select the Leaver information box. You can now select your employee from the left-hand side column. Enter the date that the employee is due to leave. Next, enter the reason that they are leaving. Then enter the date that the resignation was given. If the employee has a company mobile phone, please enter the PIN. Then select Save. We can now see that changes have been saved and this has been completed. To move on to the next step, please select Documentation. Here we need to attach a copy of the resignation that has been given to us. Enter the document title. Then select the document type. Next, select the file. Then select Save. Now that changes have been saved, this document has now been uploaded. Next, select Contact Details. Select a personal email on the left and ensure it is correct. If there are any amendments to be made, you can do this here and select Save. Once changes have been saved, you can move down to the Holiday Entitlement Summary. The Holiday Entitlement Summary is used to ensure that the employee has a zero holiday balance at the time of leaving. If you are unsure of how to complete this, please select the next step, which has a video guide of how to complete this in full. The next step is the adjustment. Please select the right values to bring the balance to zero. Once you have made your adjustment, the next step is to check the holiday balance. As we can see, this balance is now at zero for the end of the year. If this does not show zero, please go back to the previous step and make the adjustments. Once confirmed, please select the tick box to move on to the next stage. This section is in regards to the PPE that the employee may have. It is important that all reusable PPE has been returned before leaving the business. Within this section is a link to the PPE policy. There is also a link to which PPE has been assigned to the employee on the Euroc system. Suez branded corporate wear should also be returned in a clean and reusable state. If the employee is a health and safety inductor, you need to ensure that you have moved all responsibility to someone else to complete for the inductions. Once this has been completed, please select the tick box and move to the next section. If the employee is a Coupa user, you will need to consider the next options. If they raise orders within Coupa, you need to ensure that orders that have not yet been GRN'd or invoiced need to be reassigned to another active Coupa user. To do this, please contact the procurement department to have the owner of these orders switched. Failing to do so may delay in payment of invoices. The leaving employee can also delegate to another Coupa user by selecting the link here. If the leaving employee is part of an approval chain, for example, approving orders, please ensure that that responsibility has been moved on to another employee. Please contact the procurement department to make this change. Once this is complete, please select the tick box and move on to the next section. If the leaving employee does not have a company car or van, please select the tick box and move on to the next section. However, if they do, please consider the following. As line manager, it is your responsibility to ensure that the car is returned to us. The vehicle must be cleaned inside and out, be fully charged or refueled, and have both sets of keys with all equipment returned back inside the vehicle. A walk-around must be completed with the line manager or supervisor when the vehicle is returned with any damage or defects noted and pictures taken. Any outstanding penalty charge notices must be paid in full before the employee's final salary payment is made. Please contact the fleet department in advance of the employee leaving to confirm where the vehicle will be parked. If the employee has a company van and has declared a no private use, a copy of their up-to-date mileage log must be sent to the fleet department email. Once complete, please select the tick box and move to the next section. This section covers any benefits that the leaving employee may be receiving. Please ensure that if the leaving employee has any of these benefits, that you have read this fully with the employee. If you have any questions, please contact benefits.uk@suez.com. Once you have confirmed, please select the tick box and move to the next section. If the leaving employee has a laptop, please ensure that this is returned to Maidenhead. There is a link on how to follow this process. Please do not hand down a laptop to another member of staff. All laptops must be returned to IT so they can securely wipe and rebuild the laptop. Any other equipment, such as keyboards, mice, and desktop PCs, can remain on site. It is only the laptops that need returning. If the leaving employee has a company mobile phone, please ensure that the PIN code has been entered in the first step. Additionally, the leaver must wipe the phone before their final day. However, you must ensure that this PIN code has been recorded. This mobile phone can be reused on site. This checklist will notify IT of the leaving employee. Please remind the leaving employee to check their personal email address after leaving, as they will receive instructions on how to log on to the iTrent system. IT are able to offer support once an employee is leaving. If you require access to the leaver's U-Drive or email, please complete the form listed here. If an out of office is required, you can also do this here. If the leaving employee is set up on the concourse system as an approver of someone's expenses, they will need to be updated to a different approver. This will not happen automatically, and IT must be informed. You can do so by clicking here. Once this is all confirmed, please select the tick box and move on to the next section. Once the employee has left, they will have 90 days to access the employee self-service system. Suez will not be able to send copies of any documents such as payslips or P45s. They will need to retrieve this themselves. The employee must log in using their username and password, as a single sign-on will no longer work. Please ensure that the employee has made note of their username. On the day of their leaving, their password will be updated to their national insurance number with an exclamation mark at the end. This password will be all in capital letters. Here is a link of how to log on to the Suez Employee Self-Service. A user guide for how a leaver can log back in can be found here. Once this is complete, please select the tick box and move on to the next section. By ticking this section, you are confirming that you have completed all the previous steps to the best of your knowledge. You also confirm that the leaving employee is aware of their responsibility to return all equipment and are aware of any implications of failing to return these items. Once the employee has left, they will receive an email offering them an exit interview. They can choose to complete an online form or request a telephone exit interview from links within the email. It is important that their email address is up to date. Once you have confirmed, you can select this tick box. If you want to review any information that's previously been entered, you can do so by selecting back to that section. Once you are satisfied that it is complete, you can select the tick box and select Submit Checklist. Then Submit. Once it has been submitted, it cannot be amended.